Hello and welcome. In this video I will show you how to set up GitHub Actions for Julia package to automatically run unit tests and deploy documentation. I will start with a Julia package that I already made in one of the previous tutorials. It's the demo.jl. I will quickly show you what's inside. So we have the source, unit tests, documentation, where we have this index.markdown file and the make.jl file. I also have a readme file, which is just the title, and the project.toml file. Then let's navigate to the GitHub repository. I have it already open here in my Firefox browser. It has effectively the same files as I showed you in the Visual Studio Code editor. We can add the GitHub Actions to a GitHub repository by placing this workflows directory under the .github directory, and inside the workflows directory we will place the actual GitHub Actions, and these YAML files are the configurations for the particular GitHub Actions. Let's see what's inside those configuration files. Let's open the Runtest.yml file. Inside we will see the configuration for the Julia Actions or GitHub Actions that run the Runtest.jl file or the Julia test set. We can, well, here we have defined the name. It should be the same as the file name, and the Julia version that we want to run the test against, the operating system, and these are the actual actions. It's like generic GitHub action, and these are particular Julia actions. This sets up the latest Julia and builds package, and this actually finally runs the tests. Similarly to the run tests YAML, we have the Documenter.yml configuration file. Inside we find the name, when this action is invoked, here with all tags and a master branch, and here we have which operating system it runs, some GitHub Actions, sets up the Julia for this version. Then it installs the dependencies, and finally in the build and deploy section it actually builds or invokes the make.jl file, which builds the documentation. Also, these environment variables are important, and we will come to that later, how to set them up, because we need to set up this GitHub secrets and this documenter key, so that the documenter action can actually push the created documentation to the GitHub page. Let's see how we can set up the deploy keys for the documenter GitHub action. Let's navigate to the built-in terminal and open Julia. Let's open the package manager and add the packages development package. Let's also add documenter and documenter tools. Next, let's navigate back to Julia and now use the documenter tools. And now we will use the documenter tools and the gen keys function. Now this will generate the keys. Here we have useful info on how to use this. Let's copy the SSH key from the terminal and let's navigate to the GitHub repository settings and the keys folder. Here let's pick settings, then let's pick deploy keys. Now we can add a deploy key, like so. Allow the write access, and let's give it a name, Documenter. And now we will add the key. Next, let's go back to the Visual Studio Code. Let's copy this secret, copy, and let's navigate to the settings/secrets. And here we have the secrets. Add new repository secret. And here we will write Documenter key. And it's done. We still have one more thing to do before we can push these changes to the GitHub repository. We need to go to the docs folder and do the make.jl file, and here we have this deploydocs function and the repo, and here we will need to give it a value. Let's go to the GitHub repository, and here let's pick the code, and here we have this clone command. Let's copy this command and let's paste it here, and let's remove the HTTPS protocol from it. We can now push these changes to the GitHub repository. Let's go to the version control and we can stage these changes. And let's write a commit message. Well, let's say GitHub actions and commit. And can we push this? Let's navigate to the GitHub repository to see the changes. So we pushed the GitHub actions as they can be found here on the workflows. Let's go to the actions section, and now we can see that the GitHub actions that we defined are running. The GitHub actions have now finished. Let's first see the Runtest's GitHub action and its output. We can go to the jobs, which, as we can see here, it's the instance that run on Julia 1.4 with x64 and Ubuntu latest operating system. Here we can pick the Julia run test action, and this is the actual Runtest.yml file that runs the tests. We can see that it actually prints the hello world, so the tests are running correctly and they passed. Let's also inspect the Documenter GitHub action. Let's pick it, let's go to the build, and here let's take the build and deploy step. Here we can see that all these different conditions are passing. That means that our GitHub deploy should be working correctly. You can also see that everything seems to be creating correctly. We can go to the settings, and under the GitHub pages we have this message that our site has been published on the GitHub pages. We can go to this URL, however it will give us the 404 file not found error, but if we add the dev here, we can actually get to the documentation. I also often add the link to the documentation to the about section here in the repository. This helps people to find the documentation as well. We can also add badges to the README file to indicate whether our tests have passed. If we go to the actions and we select the run tests action, and in this menu we can select the create status badge, we can copy this markdown file or markdown text here, Let's navigate to the Visual Studio Code, to our repository, and here in the README file we can just paste this badge, and if we preview it we see the status badge here. Now we can just commit our stage, and then let's commit this. And let's push it to the GitHub repository. Now in the GitHub repository we will see the badge here indicating that our tests have passed. Thanks for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please leave some feedback in the comments or share the video with your friends.